You guys all read the script, right?
Lana, Ramon vouches for them. I vouch for him.
These three were my best friends.
Fuck those guys.
Everybody love everybody!
How we doing, vouchers? Welcome to Voucher Me. The movie of the day is Rush. I am your host, Papa Nasty. We got Eric Westfall and Abel Lincoln. How we doing, boys?
Hello.
Yo, guys, what's up?
When I was looking up this movie, I typed in Rush Hour so many times, but because I was intoxicated. But I did find it on YouTube for free, so you guys don't have to pay. Sorry, Prime and Netflix, but this is for the vouchers.
With subtitles.
No, there's no subtitles on the Vouch. Or on the YouTube on the clip, like the German scenes when they're when they're speaking in German or Italian, it doesn't show the subtitles. So I had to go back and look for the scenes where they showed it.
I did that once when I rented a movie on there, and yeah, a bunch of the comments under the video were like, YouTube really needs to fix their fucking subtitle option because they are in like no competition for like Amazon or any other like video rental service currently, because like, God forbid you watch a movie that has scenes not in English.
What movie are we doing there, Papa Nasty?
Rush.
We're doing Rush 2013, directed by Ron Howard, and it has our boy Chris Hemsworth, as well as, I don't know, is he Austrian in real life?
German.
The actor is German, but he plays an Austrian individual, Daniel Bruhl, who a lot of people argued should have gotten an award, but he was slept on for that year.
Yeah, the specific thing is at the Oscars, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and I've like discussed this with everyone who's seen the movie. He was dead ass the main character. Chris Hemsworth just got like main character billing because he was the more famous one at the time.
He had main character energy because he was just fucking everything he could see, but other than that,
Okay, he also had best bod and more body counts than most characters we see on film. That was wild.
that was insane.
Yeah, it was like the first 20 minutes, him banging some fucking dirty nurse. It was very, very wild.
I need you guys to walk me through the beginning really quick because I think I got confused by something. So he fucks the nurse. I don't know, whatever. Hey guys, this movie's rated R. The podcast is rated R.
Makes love to her. Don't be rude to her. Come on.
Oh, my apologies. All right. So he makes passionate love to a nurse, but then the girl he takes to watch him race for the first time is a different girl, right?
No, it's the same girl. It's the Game of Thrones actress.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Game of Thrones actress. What's her face? Abe's?
He was saying to her like, you slept with me because you thought I was someone famous, because she was like, I've never been to a Grand Prix before, and he was like, you still haven't. This is Formula 3. Because at that point in the time, they weren't Formula 1 drivers. The movie centers around the rivalry of James Hunt and Niki Lauda during the 1976 Formula 1 season. The intro scene takes place at the German Grand Prix, where Lauda's giving some backstory before we cut to 6 years prior when they were Formula 3 drivers.
There we go. And this movie, as you've mentioned before, Abel, this movie literally changed the course of your life just in terms of, your interests, your passions. Yeah, do you want to give us a little bit of insight on that?
Took up a little bit of sim racing, became a Formula 1 and just a general motorsports fan.
Yeah, we still got to get you down here to do some actual karting because I know you would
Karting would be
fucking
awesome.
love that. I know there is a place close to my house. We'll get you here at some point.
Yeah, I'm ready to just yell at people, say all the time you have to leave the space. No, it's like a rule in racing when someone's trying to overtake you. If they're like already side by side by you, you're just an asshole if you just crush them into the wall to stop them from overtaking you. That's bad etiquette.
There it is.
You're supposed to leave space for them to try and overtake you. You don't have to yield to them. You just make it harder for them.
I was a little surprised by this film. I thought it was going to be like some hillbilly Chris Hemsworth drinking fucking Busch Lights and like being a pretty boy and fucking all these things. And the storyline wasn't going to be as...
You weren't half wrong.
I mean, it was kind of close. He's drinking gin and tonics, but it was like I thought it was gonna be like this fucking wild NASCAR type film, and actually was a really great film to watch, and it kind of dived deep into like some of the politics and the things we don't see behind racing, which kind of made me actually a fan of it.
And engineering and politics go into winning a championship.
Mm-hmm.
After this movie, do you kind of, I don't know if you really understood the difference between NASCAR and Formula 1 before there, Papa Nasty. It took me, it wasn't until Abel introduced the concept to me that I finally understand that,
Are you asking me, Eric, if I masturbated to Formula One versus now NASCAR, yes, I
Yeah.
do now. I decided to switch it up
Is it the is it the what is it? Is it the sponsors?
every day, all day.
You're tired of masturbating to Home Depot logos? I'm not entirely sure what you're doing.
That's none of your damn business, Eric. You don't need to know all
Sex,
that.
breakfast of champions.
Is there an IHOP car in NASCAR? I feel like there might be.
Yeah, his freaking racing suit logo when
Yeah.
Esket entered Formula One. This like no sponsorships, no logos, just sex, breakfast of champions.
That's a smile.
There's a lot.
It's a smile.
Okay.
As your question about like logos and shit in GT racing, which is just sports car racing, basically, there is an OnlyFans sponsored car,
Cool.
and in NASCAR there is a Hooters sponsored car.
Well, fuck it, dude. That's fucking awesome.
So you got one that's for adults and one that's family friendly. That's responsibility right there.
One you could take your children to.
Yeah. Yeah. Tits and chicken wings for the whole family. Come on.
There we go. Well, Abel, I guess, are you ready to start breaking down the movie?
Pretty much, I guess. Might as well. That's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, so like I said, the intro will then flash back to 6 years prior, establish a little bit about our characters. And so James Hunt kind of establishes his character pretty quickly. He rolls up into a hospital with a bloody nose, barefoot, and he's kind of just carrying himself with this utmost confidence, like he's the shit. He's just a Formula 3 driver, but he's the shit. He's like, one day I'm gonna be a champion. Just you watch. Fucks the nurse after like she asks him like, so like what happened to you? He's like, nothing. I just got in an argument with another driver. Like, what was that about? She's like, his wife. What'd you do? Like, nothing. She didn't ask me to.
God damn.
Like,
Yeah.
dude's got the riz.
I gotta say, I mean, yeah, it was rated R, and this is the most sex scenes and butt cheeks I've seen in a movie in quite some time.
I think we see Chris Hemsworth's butt cheeks in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, first 5 minutes, pretty much. Yeah.
We see her butt cheeks and his butt cheeks.
Yeah. And it's sad whose are better.
It was kind of funny that they were all caught up in when she was undressing him, she hits him right where he was stabbed by the other guy. And he like flinches for a sec. Like, didn't you forget that he was your patient, girl? You know, when I first watched this, I thought they were like fucking in the hospital. Like, oh no, he took her home.
It wasn't until I saw the birds, and then I put two and two together.
He was like banging her on a desk, right?
Yeah, at least she didn't lose her job, maybe.
No, I think back then you could get away with stuff like that.
Anyways, and then we get introduced to Niki Lauda. They just they point him out because they said, yeah, you might have to watch out for this guy. He seems different. He's been here at the track since 5 a.m. just walking along it.
You might actually have to try.
Yeah, this guy's like studying. He's looking for every possible way he could try and be fast here.
And they do a great job right then and there, kind of showing you the difference between Lauda and James Hunt, because James Hunt, like right out the gate, he takes some champagne. He's taking a toke of some weed before he gets in the car. He's like throwing up because his nerves are so crazy. I don't know if you.
That's something he does before every match.
His boss, Lord Hesketh, says like, oh yeah, he does that all the time. It means he's stoked.
Yeah, and then you got Lauda, like cool as a cucumber, walking the course beforehand. You know, the more professional of the two individuals, if you will.
It highlights like the two different kinds of like. There's two different kinds of competitors. There's the one who approaches it like through the science, the analytics and stuff, and then there's the other guy who just feels his way through it. Not to say there's a superior or inferior way to it, but people have different ways of approaching stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think we should break down really quick. I just want to go into some of the production. Nothing too crazy. Just some stuff I read off of Wikipedia. But it was shot on location in the UK, Germany, and Austria. So that was actually pretty interesting to me. And then the one thing I was trying to determine, which I didn't get a chance to look up, was, of course, some of these races that they showed, they were, simulated. But then when it came to the crashes, of course, they went CGI with it.
Of course. We're not crashing a 70s era Formula car. Those things are death coffins.
Death coffins. And also that would be just like incredibly expensive and so freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, Formula cars are expensive.
So both vintage racing cars and replicas were used in the filming. I guess that's pretty wild to me. I guess the director also made a cameo. Oh, no. He originally intended Russell Crowe to make a cameo appearance, but I guess that doesn't matter.
That's like, why do they need Russell Crowe?
I know.
Who is he going to play? Like, is he playing himself?
He was supposed to make a cameo appearance as Richard Burton for a brief scene when he confronts James Hunt about his affair with Susie or something wild about that.
Oh, that would have been a wild cameo.
Yeah, for no fucking reason. But Ron Howard, the guy who directed this, so he was a star back in the day for like the Andy Griffin Show, Happy Days, which is just like some of the most random stuff that I had found out. And then in terms of things that he's been involved with prior to Rush, he was involved with Angels and Demons, The Da Vinci Code, Cinderella Man, like a lot of like like
I like the Da Vinci Code.
right? Yeah, just those deeper. And then he goes like crazy with it. He later 2018 solo a Star Wars story. He was involved with that.
Oh, that's where his name sounded familiar.
The 1995 Apollo 13 movie. Yeah, just some crazy ones along the way. But anyway, so yeah, Ron Howard is like a notable individual. And then, yeah, they just did a good job at this high octane biopic overall, doing a great job of fulfilling our male fantasies of fast cars and butt cheeks. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, Lord Hesketh kind of sums it up in that opening scene when he brings that nurse to watch the Formula 3 race. He is like, let me tell you something. Men love women, but even more than that, men love cars. Cue the race starting.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely awesome. Is it shortly afterwards we find out that the people sponsoring James Hunt, they're going broke?
No, we follow them for a little bit during their journeys going into Formula 2 and 3. So we see a little bit of Formula 3 from that race. And then, yeah, their rivalry starts right there because Hunt the Shunt shows him why he gets that name and shunts him off the racetrack. And Lauda's pretty pissed off at him.
Because he broke the etiquette, right?
No, that was just a racing incident.
Oh, okay.
They just touched each other while they were fighting for a corner. Lauda tried to argue, he was like, that was my corner. You had to yield to me. And Hunt's like, well, you didn't.
Yeah, I'm the one who won. So, bok, bok, bok,
Yeah.
bok, bok. You look like a rat. I'm rude. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, pump the brakes. God damn.
Then we have that one scene where Lauda basically goes against his father's wishes because his father refuses to fund his little racing career. So he goes to the bank and gets a loan and buys his way into BRM and just skips Formula 2 altogether and makes his way into Formula 1. Hunt gets that news while he's at that gala accepting an award or something.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, yeah, he just bought his way into Formula 1 instead of messing about in the lower divisions like us. Which you can do. A lot of people do that.
Wedding night or his wedding day? Like, doesn't he get driver of the year?
He finds out on his wedding day that Lauda was transferred to Ferrari
Oh.
This is still while he's being funded? It isn't until...
at Hesketh Racing. Yeah. So, yeah, Lord Hesketh gets the idea of just jumping straight into Formula 1 because he said, if Lauda can do it, so can we. We're already losing money trying to do Formula 2. Why not just move up into the big leagues? And then it turns out he made a horrible financial miscalculation. And later the next season, he was like, yeah, I'm going to have to sell all my assets. The bank seized everything. I'm probably going to have to sell the house. Turns out Formula 1 is way more expensive than I anticipated.
Then Hunt's devastated right then and there.
Yeah, he just kind of goes on a bender.
He goes on a bender, and you really do start to see he lives fast and crashes hard, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no in between. Dude's at like 100 miles an hour, or he's fucking crashed and like off on the side of the road because he immediately goes into drinking. And is it his wife at the time that's like just doesn't know how to?
Yeah, ruins his relationship with his wife basically because he's too pissed off about his career being on hold basically.
And his wife was a model.
Yeah, she was a model, I think.
Okay.
We did skip over something. We see that Nikki,
Yeah, we skipped his time at BRM.
he makes the vehicle faster by 2 seconds or 2.53 seconds. We see him
2.3 seconds. He changed how they built it, made it lighter.
Yeah, but like, he turns it from 450 horsepower to 500 horsepower. You see that he has knowledge. He actually is willing to put in the work, and he is semi good relations. I mean, like at first the guys are the crew's like, this fucking asshole, but he's like giving them coffee. He's with them the whole night, and then when he leaves, we see him like they respect him. Like he earns the respect of his
he takes complete control of the team basically right in front of them. It's funny how that played out.
He's not just like an asshole. He actually knows his shit too. He's not just like your boy Hemsworth.
He's not just arrogant.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. So they let him be a paid driver for BRM because the team was losing money and they needed financial help. So like the team principal said to Lauda, was like, we only hired you because you're paying us. But since Lauda delivered them a faster car than what they designed, he said, all right, new terms. We tear up the contract. I don't pay you a cent. You guys are going to pay me now as much as your other guy, Clay Regazzoni, their driver. Basically strong-armed his way. The way he also says it too is like, have a think about your priorities, then get back to me. Like, I know you're going to have to fucking go through with my offer. You have to.
All casual, just, what was he, like, eating gelato, doing this deal with the fucking main boss. You're just like, holy shit, the balls on this guy.
That's Lauda, right?
Yeah, Lauda. The mechanics were telling the principal and Clay to get in his car and just take it for a spin. They were all skeptical. They're like, there's no way this guy built a faster car than us. And then he did.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, and so then we get that little skip later to BRM's going under, and then Hunt gets the news that Regazzoni was taken back by Ferrari, and then Regazzoni insisted that Ferrari also take Lauda, so that's how Lauda got his seat at Ferrari. And one of the most famous scenes from fans of the movie is when Lauda's taking the Ferrari for a spin, and then he stops in front of the mechanic, he tells him, it's shit, handles like a pig. Then he just looks over at Enzo Ferrari, who's sitting just like a few feet the other way. He's like, you can't say that. Why not? It's a Ferrari. It's a shit box. It understeers like crazy and the weight distribution is a disaster. It's amazing. All these facilities and you make a piece of crap like this. Guy's just left speechless.
Fucking god.
Like, this guy came to Ferrari and told him they made a fucking shit car. So in real life, when that happened, he didn't just tell that to mechanic. He told that to Enzo Ferrari himself.
Damn.
And Ferrari said, because the reason Ferrari actually heard him out is because Lauda didn't just tell him the car was shit. He told him how they could make it better. He said this car could easily be like 0.5 of a second faster. And then Enzo said to him, if it's not 0.5 faster, you're gone. You're out of here.
Damn.
Well, history. He stayed, so Lauda was clearly right.
I love that. And it's so crazy how that's Lauda's character, and he's kept that through his whole life, because when they were filming the movie, because I don't want to spoil anything, but all I do want to say is that Lauda has lived all the way through the production of this movie. And so what Daniel Bruhl was preparing for this role, he actually went to meet Niki Lauda, and they had a conversation on the phone, and Niki told him, when you come here, make sure to keep your bag just in case I hate you and have to send you right away.
And he told him to only bring one bag worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Because he like, just in case I tell you to fuck off.
Yeah, I was like, but it ended up going well, apparently, but still.
Yeah, no, Lauda loved the guy. He took him everywhere. Like, supposedly in production, they said, like, yeah, he took him everywhere, like dinner and shit.
Yeah, okay.
They went everywhere.
That's insane. Did you hear more stuff, like, about, like, general, like, production stuff?
Just, like, some random stuff I saw on Twitter. It was mostly the stuff pertaining to Lauda and Bruhl's relationship.
Okay, cool.
Lauda did say, like, when they consult him for the film, he tried to make sure as much of it was, like, true to stuff as possible. He said it was, like, 80% true or something like that.
Okay. And then do you think Rob was, of course, more handsome than Lauda was in real life?
What?
I don't know. I'm wondering. I never looked up a picture of Niki Lauda back in the day. Like, everyone called him a rat for a reason.
Oh, yeah. He looked a little uglier.
Oh, yeah.
They showed historical footage of him and Hunt at the end of the film during his ending narration before ending it on a shot of present day Niki Lauda, who was an old man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he still looked like a charming gentleman, but, you know, pre.
He said the movie undersold his own antics. He said he was just as guilty of Hunt as womanizing and sleeping around.
Oh, yeah, because that's the one thing I did notice is we get to see Chris Hemsworth, like, just fucking laying it down, but we never get to see Niki Lauda just. Yeah,
we just see that that relationship blossom with his wife at the time.
It's actually wildly romantic. And then one other reason why he was robbed.
I love that scene where he meets his future wife, because have you ever seen Selena?
No, I never saw the movie.
So that scene, deadass, gives me the same energy as that scene in Selena where the tour bus breaks down and those two guys pass by and then they stop and come back. They're like, it is Selena.
Yeah, Selena. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like trying to pull the woman card thinking they'll pull over, and they do, but then they come right back, and it's not because of her, it's because they recognize Niki. They're apparently like Ferrari fans, and they're like, it's Niki Lauda.
It's a piece of shit, but drive it. And he's like,
she's all like, okay, who are you?
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that part where she's all like, well, you drive like a grandpa. There's no way you could be a race car driver. And then, like, yeah, she talks him into driving faster. And then he just asks her, like, do you always get what you want? She's like, yes. He just smirks and then he floors it.
Ooh, the romance.
Like, oh, Nikki's got a little bit of riz, too.
He really does. Yeah, they undersold him, but he actually, through and through, I did like his character a lot.
You realize, like, oh, maybe he's not such a dick. He's slightly autistic, but he's not. He just doesn't know. He doesn't know how to communicate. That's all it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, he has that argument with Regazzoni in the car where he's just gaslighting him. He's like, I'm not an asshole. I just tell the truth. People get offended. That makes you the asshole. He's just gaslighting now.
Not a bad impersonation, Abel. Pretty fucking good.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
Austrian accent.
I'm gonna close my eyes and do some things. Just riff, Abel.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on a Ferrari hat and I'll say stuff like that.
Got to get rid of your Mercedes hat.
Say you're getting close to the finish line.
I'm gonna be like Sergeant or fucking Aldo Rain from Inglourious Bastards. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Yeah. Oh, dude.
The most horrible Italian accent.
The actor that played Nicky Lauder, I was telling Abel before the pod, I was like, dude, he was in Inglourious Bastards, right? And Abel's like, yeah.
Yep.
Who do you play?
The Nazi war hero?
Zoller, the German war hero who got a movie made out of him that they were going to turn into a propaganda film.
He was a Nazi war hero. That's what he was. Which, was that even a real character? But that's a film for another day, folks.
All right, so like we mentioned, James Hunt was on that bender. His wife leaves him during that time.
Yeah, he asks her when he goes to talk to her later about it. She was like, where did you even meet him? She's like, on that skiing trip I invited you to.
She's also sketchy, remember? Like, Nikki even throws some jabs. She's like, what is she? I never see her. Like, da-da-da-da. And he's like, oh, like, doesn't know what to say. And then we see her when she's like doing interviews. She's like taking the ring off. You're like, you this shady bitch.
Well, it's also like you got to think about it. Like Hunt's priorities were all wrong.
No, I'm Team Hunt. So fuck you guys.
Well,
I know she spells it out for him when he goes to win her back, quote unquote. He asks her like how she feels with her new man, and she's like, at least he makes me feel loved. Like whether or not he does don't matter as long as she feels like he loves her.
I remember she's like, she points out his drug abuse, his alcohol abuse, his woman abuse, like his, like all these issues. And
yeah, any single one of them she could have handled, but not all of them at once.
It was one of those things I'm like, I feel bad for him. And then I'm like, hearing that, I'm like, maybe I'm on her team now. He's like a piece of shit.
Like if it wasn't the drugs, the infidelity, everything, the mood swings.
yeah, she was nothing but a trophy wife for him, and she was there. She was supposed to be there to support him, and I'm glad that he took a step back. But now he's all sad. He's sad boy, deep in his ways. But then he does get an opportunity,
and he's unemployed. And also, it was like real low jab for the way he found out, the way Lauda hit him with it. He said like, no wonder she left him. And then he just looks at him. He doesn't say anything, but he's like taken aback. He's like, wait, what the fuck's he talking about? And he goes to his team and he's like, where's Susie? And then they hand him the newspaper like, we didn't want to tell you before the race. And like, oh yeah, she's got a new man now.
Yeah.
Like, damn, my rival heard about this before I did.
But was that after his like one of the Formula One races with Lauda?
Yeah, that's after they entered Formula One.
And I feel like Hunt, I'm not saying Hunt had it coming, but Hunt started like talking shit to Lauda, didn't he? And that's why Lauda even pulled that out in the first place.
Yeah.
No, okay, so hear me out. This is how I believe the argument was. It's because there was a few races that happened. It turned out that their car was 1.5 centimeters.
So we skipped over like a key
That's
point.
what I thought.
So
yeah.
It was the unemployment leading up to that. So he eventually scores a ride with McLaren. Hit one of his friends or former teammates. Called him up and said that Team McLaren had an opening, and he was like, "Do anything, get me in that room." And so he sits down with McLaren. They told him that Emerson Fittipaldi jumped ship for Copper Suker, which was career suicide. And very, very poor move by the real life Fittipaldi. But anyways, so they argue and haggle a little bit over like, why should we hire you? Like, and they start naming off other drivers. And then he like, you can't win with this guy. Like, I'll deliver. Just get me in the car. I'll do anything. I'll put on a tie. Like, whatever. Just, I can beat Nikki. Just give me a chance.
On this, I wanted to point out, they call the guy, the previous,
Yeah, they called the rest of his team.
they called the rest
Yeah.
of his team and they said, can we vouch for him? Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And then they said, 9 out of 10 days, you're going to be pulling your hair out with this guy. But on that 10th day, he will win and he will get you there. And you're going to be absolutely thrilled that you chose him.
He's legit honest about his character, and he's like, "Yo, I'm a bit of a fuck up. I'm this and that, but I will give you victories. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat that I can be a dumbass. I can fuck around. I like to party, but I will fucking when it comes to the track, I will fucking deliver.
I'll put on a suit and tie. I'll say the right things. Just give me the
And I will
ride.
do what you need. He is hungry and he wants to fuck up Nikki because Nikki's been on this winning spree and has been kicking ass. And he's like, I can fucking beat him. He's like, yeah, you may go with a guy that has a little bit more, social etiquette and he can play the politics stick, but I'm gonna fucking win on the track versus this dumbass. And I thought that was a pretty cool line.
Yeah, because during that time when Hunt was in Hesketh racing, Lauda went on to win the championship with Ferrari. It was that following year where Hesketh went under and he was unemployed. That's when he managed to score that ride with McLaren. And this is where now they're on relatively even fighting ground. Now he can take the fight to Nicky. Nicky's not going to take pole position and sail off into the sunset now.
So Nicky wins. He wins the Brazil race. He wins the South Africa race, but then he loses in Spain, right?
Yeah, Hunt won in Spain. And that's when Nicky went and pulled up the marshals and had them investigate the McLaren. And the McLaren was over regulations. It was a little bit too big.
5/8 of an inch illegal.
There we go. Just like your
And
dick.
yeah, they get disqualified for against regulations car. And Hunt even argues with them later about it. Is like, it's 5/8 of an inch that has zero effect on the performance of the car. And then Nicky's playing rules guy. He's just he's like, you're the one driving an illegal car and you call me the cheat?
Dude, that impersonation, it's pretty good. It fucking gets me. I'm like, God damn it, Ames, that is so good.
Yeah, that's when he fucking calls him out on his divorce. I'm like, Jesus, bro, chill the fuck out.
No wonder why your wife left you. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, you sound Indian.
No, then you come again.
You sound like you own a convenience store, Jim Cheese.
No, you pay for banana. You pay for it. No.
You sound like the guy from The Simpsons.
Oh no.
Apu.
No.
Back to where we were. They were talking shit to each other. And then they move on to
Yeah, then we just kind of get a montage of the different races, their performances, and how they're doing. Just the back and forth of the championship fight.
Hunt loses because now they fixed the car, quote unquote, but it completely ruined its performance.
It's within regulations, but yeah, it fucked the performance. Like at one point, I like the way he says, it's like, the car's fucking evil. It's fucking undrivable.
Side note, Eric can get you 25% off at the spaghetti factory if you go and pay him a visit. Just side note for the fans.
I get you a bowl of SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Chef Boyardee, baby.
Yeah, but anyways, eventually he was asking McLaren to appeal it, and like, yeah, we're already on it. Just fucking drive the car until we figure this shit out. Yeah, eventually their appeal manages to get overturned, and Hunt has his points reinstated from Spain and makes their championship fight closer again.
Did they fix the car at some point within regulation? Yeah. Okay, because that's what I was trying to figure out too. I'm like, he didn't just learn to drive it. They also fixed it. They had to keep playing with it until they got it right.
Yeah, since like they said the wheelbase was too wide, they probably had to go in there and just like reduce the size of the suspension maybe and just the overall width of the car, and that would have just been a pain in the ass to fix mid-season and cost a lot of money.
So this is well into the second act, of course. Things are starting to look up for Hunt, but Lauda is still leading, correct?
Yeah, and then that's when we get to the German Grand Prix in Nürburgring.
And this is the climactic point. All right, I guess
This is where the movie started before the flashback.
Yep, and this is also like one of the most significant things in history, right? In terms of
In motorsport history, yeah.
Wow, it's just so crazy. It's so devastating.
Yeah, it was this event that made Formula One no longer use the Nürburgring as a racetrack for the German Grand Prix.
So walk us through it.
1976, August 1st.
Damn, August 1st, 1976. They plan to hold this race, but the weather is just treacherous.
It was torrential rain the weekend prior, or the days leading up to it. And so Niki Lauda calls a safety meeting and appeals to the stewards and to the drivers to cancel the race. And there's a lot of like disagreement about it because it would increase his lead in the championship because no points would obviously be awarded. And as one driver also points out, they wouldn't be able to get paid for the race since they didn't actually race.
Yep.
And then Lauda tries to argue, he's like, yeah, you may not get paid, but at least you can walk away with your life.
That's not good enough for anybody. Why would they want that? They want that. Fucking, they're chasing them dollars.
Yeah, no, they're race car drivers. They already put their life at risk. They don't care.
So then we have Hunt pipe in.
Yeah, and he turns the whole room around him. And he argues like, yeah, Niki, it's just going to make it harder to catch up to you and pretty much seal the deal on the championship for you.
Yeah, so he's arguing, basically saying, you're just doing this because you want to win. No, I want us.
You're just playing politics.
I want us to live. I mean, this is insane. This is so dangerous.
Yeah, but he's such an asshole about it too. Which is what makes it harder for anyone to agree with him.
Yep. And so when they finally have the vote, everyone wants to side with charming ass Hunt.
Abel, how did he tell everybody? What did he tell everybody when it came to the race? What was his argument? How did he say it?
Verbatim. Give us a character. Yeah, do your Lauda impression. You don't have to be verbatim, but
I don't remember. He said something about like the Nürburgring is the most outdated, dangerous track in the history. Something like
you're
that.
so good at this.
Which he's not wrong about. Like the racetrack is nicknamed the Green Hell for that reason. It is extremely dangerous and it's one of the longest racetracks in the world.
And that's without the water. That's without the rain.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's already dangerous enough by itself, but with the rain it made it like ridiculous. I remember, I don't have the source verified, but I could have sworn reading somewhere that like in real life a little bit more people actually did side with Lauda, but for the narrative's sake they just had it look like the whole room was against him.
Yeah, virtually. There was a handful of smart people that did, in the movie that agreed with him. They go on to race that race, and Hunt is just a reckless fucking man. Doesn't give a shit.
He's just sending it.
Yeah.
So they start the race on wet tires because they don't know how damp the track is, so that they just go out there with the wet tires. But the wet tires lack as much grip as traditional racing slicks. And so Lauda and Hunt both lose quite a lot of valuable time to other drivers who did start on the slicks because the sun had dried up a lot of the track by then. So they pull in and pick up some slicks in the pits and take back off in the race. I believe in the movie they like had spelled it out, like they showed that Lauda had like some kind of suspension failure, which is what caused the car to spin out and crash. But I believe in real life he actually hit a wet spot on the track that was in the shade of trees.
Holy shit, that's so fucking devastating.
Yeah, he loses grip while he's going at like a fucking 160 miles per hour, crashes right into a fucking metal guardrail. And then the car catches on fire, and because he designs those cars with like predominantly magnesium, basically turns into thermite once it's set on fire.
That shit looked insane. Even just the way they portrayed it in the movie, of course they had to use CGI because there's no way they could have emulated this happening. But watching it crash into the side rail, immediately catch on fire, watching people try to come up and like help him get out of it.
2 cars hit him after that.
Yeah. People try to help him get out of it and they couldn't help him get out of it. So he was sitting in there for like obviously way too long, just fucking slow cooking.
I think he was only in there for like 5 minutes, but it's the longest 5 minutes of your life when you're on fire.
No, he was. So I looked into it. He was in there for almost a minute, and the temperature was just about 800 degrees. So it's like holy shit.
He was cooking in there. Yeah.
Bro, goddamn. Yeah, if I cooked my nuggets at that temperature, shit would have. All right, I'm not gonna. Facetious. I feel uncomfortable making bad jokes.
Kayla would need to go. No.
Lauda obviously DNFs the race. He gets shipped to the hospital. We get that emotional cut of his wife hearing it on the radio. And then
I have one question. Does Hunt technically win that race?
Yeah, he ended up winning.
No. Yeah, because I know they lost a lot of valuable time because they started the race on wet tires.
I think he ended up winning.
Someone else took the lead, I think. Let me verify this.
Oh, yeah, I was about to look it up right now.
1976 German Grand Prix. Yes, James Hunt actually did win.
Oh, what a cunt,
Bang,
dude.
bang, 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 bang.
Oh, what a jerk. Can you believe
He didn't
that?
realize. He just thought Niki was like a slight crash. He didn't realize like that. Fucking Niki was in a really bad fucking state and like got burnt like a marshmallow at a campfire.
So Oh man, so everybody else did fine. Nobody else was like injured nearly as bad as he was, and he just had the worst luck.
There was some insight. I forgot the gentleman's name. I apologize. But there was a dude that actually went to save him that did suffer some pretty gnarly injuries on saving Nicky Lauder's life.
Wow.
He was another driver. I forget his name. Abes, if you're the Google
Oh,
Meister.
yeah, we could always.
I'm reading the freaking classifications on Wikipedia, and there's like a funny little addendum. So I'm looking at like the team's finishing places, and then among the disqualifies, it says car seized by police. And I was like, wait, what the hell happened there? So I'm trying to read this real quick.
What the fuck? That's awesome.
I was like, wait, the police seized some Formula One cars? What the fuck happened at the Nürburgring here? Give me one sec. I'm trying to find out what happened here.
Things went way deeper than we realized. This was the most absurd day in fucking literally Formula One history. Who knew? Wow. Yeah, I can't believe what happened to him. The fact that James Hunt.
So there's like some like team politics basically. So a guy got fired, then he pulls some legal action on his former team or something, and the police impounded the cars when they came to seize the property of the team.
Oh my god. That is awesome.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, I don't know which. Let me try to find out which cars are the ones that hit Nicky.
Yeah, they did a fairly good job of depicting it in the movie.
Brett Lunger and Harold Erdl. I don't know how to pronounce their names properly, but Guy Edwards. 3 cars stopped to try and help Lauda out of the car while people arrived to try and while they were waiting for like medical and like emergency services to arrive.
While James Hunt is just sailing into the sunset.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the thing is, like, when you're a race car driver, shit like that happens, it's your job to just keep going.
Yeah, you actually raise a good point. Yeah, that's so fucking tragic. And then you get him going to the hospital.
Getting his lungs pumped and having skin grafts done.
Lungs pumped, skin grafts. The crazy thing to me, though, is I don't want to like skip over things, but what they do in the movie is they kind of time lapse it so you get an idea of his recovery.
He's watching TV, seeing Hunt win all these races.
48 days, 49 days, and he's already back in the car?
Yeah, like a month and a half.
That's insane to me. Holy fuck.
Because he refuses to let the championship go. So he just speed runs his recovery. They told him, like, while they're pumping his lungs, like, your lungs are already damaged from us doing this. Do you want to do this again? And he just opens his mouth like, fucking do it.
Yeah, like, and it's different. It's the 1970s. It's not just like pump you full of anesthesia and then put that shit in you. I don't know how it worked during that time, but at least the way they did in the movie, dude was like, just had to grip the fucking side of the bed and just take a hose down his throat. Like,
Cuts to his wife standing outside the hospital room while this is going on. You just hear him like grunting and screaming in there.
Yeah, I remember him like put on that fucking helmet is even like it's like fucking hard, and he's like, what, you know, he's fucking.
He made an incredible recovery, 49 days, not full recovery, but it's still the season, and
He's salvageable.
he says, hey, I can still win if I get back in this car right now.
By the Italian Grand Prix, he's back.
Well, it's crazy with the burn marks and like the, you know, because you see how rough he looks. I'm like, God, like he really looks pretty bad. He kind of reminded me of Eric's butthole after leaving YVCC.
Beautiful.
So after the Lauda recovers, he's back in the action at the Italian Grand Prix, and they also point out that during his time away, Ferrari already like commissioned his replacement driver to hop in the car and take over while he was gone. And when they asked him that at the press interview, he said, yeah, Ferrari gave him a call like before I even reached the hospital.
Yeah, that was insane.
So it happened right before the accident is when he was doing his American Psycho moment. Right before the crash of Nicky Lauda.
Okay, so post the hospital scene, there is a handful of races still, or this is what I'm trying to remember properly.
Yeah, there's still quite a few races left because the season goes until like November, probably at that point in time, and the race took place in August, so he would have been back in action in September, like late September, early October.
Okay. And so, but during that time, Hunt had the opportunity to catch up a bit in points.
Yeah, win a couple races or just perform well enough while Lauda's points stayed at a standstill because obviously he wasn't racing.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Lauda outperforms his replacement, so Lauda keeps his seat.
Dude, badass scene we see by James when he kicks the shit out of that reporter that's like, hey, how do you feel? How do you think
Yeah, who made fun of how his
he's
face.
like, think your wife's gonna love you? And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, do you think your wife's gonna want you after that fucking your monstrous face? And you know, like that triggers Nikki and he fucking
ends the press conference and tells him to fuck off.
I love the way that went though, when he was like, seriously, what is your wife gonna do? And he says, seriously, fuck you. Press conference is over.
Yeah, and then Hunter pulls him aside into a fucking boiler room closet and beats the shit out of him. And he's like, let's see how your wife loves you after.
Dude puts the recorder in his mouth, goes American History X on him, and fucking
breaks his fucking teeth.
Dude, I was like, oh shit. I mean, like that was a pretty cool scene. I'm like, okay, James, you're not a bit like I thought you were a pussy and like a bitch, but in that scene, you gave him respect.
Yeah, no, that shows like he heavily respects Nikki, like as fierce as the rivalry was depicted. He was like, nah, I ain't gonna take this fucking slander against my rival.
Well, because also there's a handful of things too. The way they kept trying to address their beef throughout the movie was, oh, it's just us busting each other's balls. That's what they kept trying to call it. But we knew it went a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, well, there's like this one scene I remember reading about rivalries, and they said like people respect their rivals because they see their rival as an equal. Like this person is like an equal to you. If you don't respect your rival, you don't respect yourself.
That's the most profound shit I've heard. Well, did we miss the montage of a fucking Hunt like clapping cheeks after him leaving his wife, or his wife leaving him?
Yeah.
There was a whole ass montage of him just going to town.
Yeah, first it was the flight attendant, and then random like race girls after the races and shit.
Yeah, it was absurd. I was like, oh yeah, I enjoyed it obviously, but I was like, this is the most male fantasy shit ever. But
I remember in the race montage where it shows like the different Grand Prix they were at and the podiums. One of them like Lauda staying on the top for first place. Meanwhile, Hunt's in like second or third, whatever, and making out with the billboard girl.
What a fucking pimp.
He wasn't a bad looking guy for the time. He actually was like, if you look back, he actually was like Chris Hemsworth level of handsome.
And he had it all too. He had the fame, the high octane, the looks, the conventionally attractiveness. Goddamn. And then, but what was underplayed was, despite, Lauda and his fame and everything, he was out there doing the same thing. That was before he met his wife.
He was just being smart about it.
The only way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why this rivalry is so like remembered and heated is because very rarely do title fights in this sport come down to the final race of the season, and that's exactly what happened. It comes down to the final race at the Japanese Grand Prix at Mount Fuji.
Basically, whoever wins this, if either of them come in first place, they will beat the other, right?
It was even more tight than that. It was like if Lauda finishes fifth, Hunt had to finish like ninth or better, or like if he finished like fourth, he had to finish like fifth or better himself. Like, but Lauda ultimately like decides 2 laps into the race that he doesn't want to go through with it. It's raining just as hard it's raining harder at Mount Fuji than like it did at the Nürburgring. The whole track is fucking soaked.
Yep.
They thought about canceling the race, but the McLaren team principal, I believe, said the TV rights were already sold everywhere. Like people want to see this race, so they're gonna go ahead with it.
That's so fucking twisted considering what happened within the same season with Lauda.
Yeah, and I think in actuality, it was those circumstances, but there's also a thing with his tear ducts, so they don't allow him with to sweat, and with the rain and all that, he can't like get it out of his face. So it was like a major safety hazard for him to be even racing as much as he did, and he did the responsible thing. It was like, no, like I'm not going to risk my life. Because remember, he always had a percentage. He's like, I'm willing to risk my life to 20%. And I think he doesn't ever say it, but I'm like,
not 1% more. Not 1% more will he take the risk.
Thank you, Apes. And not 1% more. And I think he learns like, oh, my life's worth way more than this after all the bullshit he had to go through. And it was one of those things like it
shows him thinking about his wife.
Yep. And it was just one of those scenes I'm like, oh, I wish they would have dove more into that scene and why that he did do that, but that's a whole behind the scenes director thing. But I heard those because of like because the burns, his tear ducts didn't work the same, and it was like a whole like there's a whole thing behind it.
There's a lot of damage to his just overall facial anatomy from the burns.
So as he joked, it was a benefit to not be able to perspirate. But like you mentioned, he of course, and during a press conference, he's not going to mention the tear duct thing, which matters significantly.
Yeah, he didn't have like the same eyelashes or something like that. There was something weird where he couldn't see the same due to the rain.
It was at the Italian Grand Prix. Like, it looked like he had a hard time seeing while he was following that one car because it's all like blurry.
You're seeing his vision going in and out.
POV.
Yeah. No, Abel saying POV. I'm like, yes, Abe, that's my favorite category, but that's not on this podcast. We're not talking about that.
The vouchers will get the opportunity at some point on Patreon.
That's on the Patreon. Yeah, thank you, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys will get to hear all of it. So it's like for the Mount Fuji race. So this is just what I'm trying to like interpret, because watching the film was one thing, but talking about it with you guys, this is the reason why we do the podcast, to help also break some of this down. With the Mount Fuji race, although they could have put on slicks, and this is an environment where slicks would have been just fine. It's not like the previous race where it was incredibly dangerous to be doing what they were doing. This, they could use slicks. It's a better track in general. Although it was a safety hazard, they were able to see it through.
So you got that a little bit backwards. Slicks are used during dry racetracks. Mount Fuji was fucking drenched, so they had to go through with the wet tires. But on top of like the lack of grip because they're using wet tires, the visibility is non-existent because those cars just leave a huge cloud of spray right behind them.
Yeah.
That was the thing they mentioned with Hunt, is like, this will keep out the condensation, but it will let the water in. Yeah, but you have to stay in first. That's the idea. Just lead the whole time.
Yeah, just stay in first and it won't be a fucking problem.
That's so crazy. So, but in addition to all of these hazards, Lauda had the additional hazard of the lack of tear ducts, and so he wasn't able to.
He had a hard time seeing, and then there's just dealing with the PTSD trauma of having had to deal with this in the first place.
And what did he do?
Crash. He just DNF'd. He retired the car, pulled in the pit, takes out the steering wheel, and gets out.
Everyone's freaking out.
Yeah, the mechanic asks, like, what should I tell them? Like, should I lie? And he was like, no, tell them the truth. I didn't feel like doing it. Yeah.
So much respect for that fucking man.
Don't make up any lies for me. Just tell them the truth. I couldn't go through with it.
But still, Hunt, I mean, I don't know if they played it up for the movie, but for Hunt, it like him trying to finish the race, he still had.
No, he had to send it, because even though Nicky DNF'd, he still had the points lead in the championship. So where Hunt finished in the race was whether or not he would beat Lauda ultimately for the race or for the championship.
So he had to at least get third or higher, but near the end of the race, there seemed to be some kind of misinterpretation as to his place.
So let me see. So at minimum, if Lauda placed 7th or lower, Hunt had to place 4th or better. And so they had an issue because back then they didn't have automatic timing logs like we do that count every time the car passes the start finish line. Someone had to manually track that, and there was a mishap where they lost track of how many laps did Hunt do. Did he already finish the race, or is he still going? And so that's where they were like trying to decide, like, wait, did he finish 4th or 5th? Wait, who just passed the start finish line? So the racing stewards were trying to figure that out, and that's when they ultimately are like, James Hunt finished in 4th place.
Damn. So that was accurate to real life. That wasn't just played up for the movie.
Yeah, they lost track of where he was.
That's awesome. I love how he pulls into the pit after everything is said and done, and he's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I lost." And they're like, "What do you mean?"
Okay, so here it is. He finished in 3rd place, but yeah, timing log thought he finished in 5th because I guess the only way you could have made that fuck up is if either they logged the wrong car or he went an extra lap because he didn't know he finished the race.
That's fucking awesome.
Is one of the two options, but yeah, basically. Yeah, so he seals the deal and beats Nicky for the championship.
I love the exchange they have after this.
Oh, where he meets him while he's gonna go take off on that airplane with all the girls, and Lauda's just wishing him well and all that.
Oh yeah, okay. So the exchange in general. So this is actually, is this well after the championship even happened?
Yeah, they had a little montage where it shows him on TV celebrating his status as world champion and stuff.
And then he runs into Nicky Lauda by coincidence. At least in the movie, he runs into him by coincidence as he's getting ready to take off. And they have a conversation, and, you know, he apologizes, James Hunt, right? He apologizes. Hey, man, I really do feel responsible for what happened to you at that race. And then I love Lauda because he's just like, you were responsible, but also you were equally responsible for me getting out of that hospital bed. And like, that was like a deep.
Yeah, that was inspiring. That's the stuff I love about rivalries.
Yeah, no, that hit deep. Also, Lauda now focuses on flight and airplanes, and I loved what he said, where he was like,
Yeah, he took up flying as a hobby.
he took up flying. He's like, yeah, there's way more regulations. It keeps you with a cool head, and it helps with racing. And I think it's really funny because he's absolutely right. But since I'm doing pilot training, they have hazardous attitudes in pilot training, and so if he were to have utilized those hazardous attitudes prior to that original race, he never would have taken that race in the first place, because you could fall victim to things like invulnerability, being macho, impulsivity, all of those things those guys fell victim to. And that's what Lauda is like kind of bringing up later. It's like, hey, there's regulations, there's a mindset that you have to follow, and it really does help me with racing. So I definitely respected that so much when they had that conversation. And at least Hunt really did get his closure, if you will. I guess he probably never had closure from the Lauda situation. But then we get the info as to what happens after all is said and done.
Yeah, basically like a little epilogue narration from Daniel Bruhl as Nicky, explaining what happens afterwards. So James Hunt in real life did continue to try racing in Formula One after, but was not able to replicate his success. Nicky speculated Hunt felt that he no longer really had anything to prove. He was a world champion. He beat him on relatively equal machinery. And so he goes into doing a little sports commentary and just random stuff, just living the rock star life, and eventually dies of a heart attack in his 40s, 41, I think.
41,
Yeah.
45, yeah.
And then Lauda says like he was very sad to hear that.
He lived fast and died hard. It's the irony is Lauda is the one that crashed, but I mean that's the way that fucking Hunt lived, was just like, yeah, drive fast.
Yeah, Lauda stayed in the sport. Lauda stayed in the sport for the rest of his life. He actually went to drive for McLaren at one point, and that's where he ended his career. Lauda ended his career as a 3-time world champion. During the height of their rivalry, Lauda ultimately had 2 championships. He won the following year, and Hunt only was a 1-time champion.
So in the end, Lauda wins.
Yeah, but what matters is that he beat him when he actually was fully trying.
Then why is he a supporting actor and not Chris Hemsworth? I don't understand. Boo!
Boo! Yeah, no, that is wild.
It's the same logic as these people who hold it against Lewis Hamilton when they said Nico Rosberg beat him in equal machinery. Like, Lewis stunted on him like 2-1. It's like when you beat your friend at Smash Bros, then get off the setup and you're like, I won.
God damn.
It's the same fucking logic.
Yeah, we jerked this guy off for going 1-1, 1-0, but then later he goes 2-1 and claps him. So I mean, like, all right.
So anyways, Lauda stays in the sport for a long time. He eventually was instrumental in getting Michael Schumacher to join Ferrari, and later Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, before ultimately dying in like 2019, I believe, 2018.
Whoa, okay.
Old age, health complications, I believe.
Yeah.
I liked his closing narration about James Hunt saying like he was like one of the few people like he, oh my God, how did he say it? He was like one of the few people he liked, even fewer that he respected, and the only person in his life to have ever envied, or something like that.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Wow.
Damn.
And then you see a little, just a clip of a Ferrari and a McLaren racing wheel to wheel before the screen fades out.
And that's just a theory. All right, anyways. I don't know why.
But it's just a theory.
I don't know why I always want to take it there for some reason.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
I don't know why.
That was good.
In terms of how this played out in real life, I feel like you did a really good job of breaking down the rest of Lauda's life. Hunt's life was short and sweet. It's just cool that he had influence over the sport well into his
modern age, really.
The modern age. And it's just crazy how much influence that this movie had on you. More than you watched Ford versus Ferrari later.
I actually watched it prior.
This is what got you.
Yeah, it didn't stick with me the same way. I don't know why, but Ford vs. Ferrari is also a very good racing movie as well.
Who did you connect with when you first watched this movie?
Lauda.
Cool. I respect it 100%. Yeah. I think you're completely right. Yeah. Just in terms of like, and then the audience, like all of us, we connected with Lauda. Like, no matter how handsome Chris Hemsworth was, and no matter how exciting, you really did stick it out through him. And that's fantastic storytelling. This is a a biopic, a movie that is going to stand the test of time.
I was a little bit of a fan of McLaren when I first got into watching the sport, but I settled on liking Mercedes because my favorite driver is Lewis Hamilton, who actually started his career at McLaren.
That's pretty fucking great. To this day, Rush has 90% on Rotten Tomato, both the audience score and the critic score. So you just know it's just so everyone knows, it's a good movie. It's a good movie through and through. And at this point, I guess we do our fun thing. This was Abel's pick.
My name is Abel, and I was a huge fan of this movie. It made me want to get into the sport.
You have to ask us if we vouch for you.
Do you vouch for me?
I vouch for you. This is a great movie.
That's for you, buddy. Yeah, fuck yeah. That was so good.
That's so random and awesome. This is like the most out of pocket one we have. And I know that we want to take this part. I mean, we may change this next part of the show at some point, but we haven't figured out anything yet. And so in this case, is this a movie that we'd watch, marry, or kill?
I'd marry it.
I'd marry it.
Son of a bitch, I think I'd marry it. It was a good film. It was a good film.
This would be a movie I'd be proud to have on a shelf. And, my son comes up one day, he grabs it, and he's like, what's this movie about? And I'm like, we're sitting down, and you're going to look at Chris Hemsworth's butt cheeks, and you're going to fucking love it. Well, let's call your Uncle Abel, and he'll give you some info. And then he'll be like, Dad, I thought the CPS said you can't talk to me anymore. I don't give a fuck.
I'm going to show up with the Ferrari jersey and just lots of ice cream to cope with depression.
Shut the fuck up. No, that was awesome. But yeah, no, thank you so much for... I know we watched it once. It was a late night we watched it, so it was great that you picked this and actually got to watch it and, genuinely spend some time looking into the history.
One funny thing I found out when I actually got into watching the sport and while watching the movie. So, that part where he shows up at Ferrari, tells him the car is shit and all that? I remember, reading some fans' thoughts about that scene, oh, well, some things never change. Ferrari's always been like that. They're like, you can't tell us the car's shit, it must be a skill issue.
It has to be. Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Now, they've been getting better, a lot better in the last 2 years, but, it was kind of a meme to just say, oh, another Ferrari disaster class.
Me and Abel were talking about how there were certain things that were other people reviewed the film that compared to how it was in real life, and they were saying that was 80% true, but there were certain things they did not overly dramatized, like the rivalry. They actually were roommates at one point. They weren't even
they were super chill.
Yeah, I was listening to a British reviewer was they actually shared a flat at one point, and the media overhyped their competitive rivalry. It was he was just breaking down some of the stuff, and I'm like, what the shit? And it was the son of James Hunt was yeah, that fuck.
So they were actually, no wonder this movie was gay coded.
He was yeah, the son of James Hunt was all he's I think my dad was portrayed as actually an absolute twat. He's fucking Nikki Clouder had what's his face go and hang out with him, and they spent some time together. Not once did fucking Chris Hemsworth come down and spend time with the family, or even contact the family. And whether I don't know who to blame, whether it be Hemsworth or the director, but when I contacted the director and asked him, why didn't he go to the full truth of the film, he said that the truth would have been too awesome, and I wanted to fucking smack him when he said that. That was his words verbatim. But it was fucking hilarious to see and there were some things certain races who won, who didn't win, or there was other side characters that were on their heels. It wasn't just the Nikki and James Hunt show, but it definitely was the Eric show. If we're talking about Vouch for Me.
Yeah, one of the races Mario Andretti won.
So it was actually it was kind of dramatized within the sport just to get viewership in a way, but regardless, it still came down to those two. It's just crazy that those people were on their heels, and it would, if they ever remade something like this, I feel like they would take that into account, and hopefully, because it was still a 2-hour film, they could have went another half hour and added a little bit more.
Yeah, another good candidate for a freaking rivalry movie would probably be the 2016 season. Some fans call it the Silver War because both Mercedes drivers were fighting for the championship, Lewis Hamilton and his former best friend Nico Rosberg. They were childhood friends since like their go-karting days. Grew up, were the best of mates, but once they became teammates, they started fucking hate each other because they were equally skilled in both fighting for the title.
So even within the same team, they were fighting. They were like the two best.
They are friends turned enemies because of it.
Friends to enemies to lovers. I know where this is going. Oh yeah, baby. Well, at one point did you mention that Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, they had like good competition?
2021 came down to the last race of the season. They were tied in points.
That one that one sounds like a great one to get a movie made about it at some point.
Yeah, well, the movie would end anticlimactically and piss off everyone who watched it.
Oh.
So it's a very long story, but basically in the closing like few laps of the race, this guy crashed his car and brought out the safety car, which slows down the race so they could clean that shit up and get the car out of the way so they can get back to racing. So during the safety car incident, Max Verstappen immediately pits for brand new tires, but then comes out like he's still in second place, but there's like 5 lapped cars between him and Lewis Hamilton. So if they had to restart racing, he'd have to get past 5 back markers before he could even try to fight Lewis. Lewis stays out on old tires because should proper safety car procedure be followed, every lap they finish under safety car still counts towards the race distance. So if they actually try to have time to get every car that's lapped out from like being unlapped, just get these cars out of the way, the race was going to finish that way, and then Lewis would have just won under safety car conditions. The race director decided to unlap only the cars between Max and Lewis, and so that would leave a 1-lap shootout between first and second place, and that's exactly what happens. He only unlaps the cars between Lewis and Max, which was against the rules at the time. But as race director, he had overriding authority to do that, supposedly.
So he was just trying to make it more exciting at the end.
Yeah, but ultimately he basically handed the championship to Max because there's no way Lewis was going to hold off Max on brand new fucking tires.
He would have lost either way, right? He would have lost safety car or he would have lost.
So Lewis would have won the race if the safety car procedures had just been followed as normal. That's why Mercedes left him out on old tires like, now we got this in the bag. Just stay out there and we got this. Red Bull was pleading with the race director to let the race finish with a 1-lap shootout. Like, just get these cars out of the way and let's get back to racing. And so, yeah, Max takes off as soon as he's got better grip, so he's able to overtake Lewis and sail to victory. And that pissed off a lot of fans watching it because they feel like the race director basically handed the victory to Max.
Bro, that's kind of exciting in a weird way. I don't know why. I wish that they both had the opportunity to change their tires.
Yeah, well, some people argue, why didn't Lewis pit for fresh tires? Like, because Mercedes was expecting the rules to be followed.
Once they decided the rule changed, they should have had the opportunity to change their tires. But all right, now I see why they won't make a movie about this.
If Lewis would have tried to pit for new tires, then Max would have just stayed out. They were in a lose-lose situation every single way, aside from just let the safety car procedure go as it should have been.
That's fucking insane. As you can tell, fucking Abel invested in Formula One, so I'm sure that we're going to get more opportunities to watch some Formula One racing-related movies. Papa Nasty, I think you got next pick for, are we doing Ricky Stenicki?
We're doing...
Again?
Hey, fuck you, Abel. Don't fucking say it like that, you dick. Yeah, we're going to do Ricky Stenicki, but under one stipulation... You guys are going to have to be 3 shots in. We're going to do the review. We're going to do a drunk review. It means we're going to go into it.
There has to be a way. We have to. How about we do a drinking game through the movie?
It's going to be, we're going to do the review in under 45 minutes. So we're going to go in there, 3 drinks in, either shot, White Claw, or Eric, what do you have to do? Butt chugs? Whatever tickles your fancy.
Put a tampon in some whiskey and then I let it seep while we're having these conversations. So you just you put it in the whiskey and then you put it in your butt and then you just kind of while you're chilling, it kind of absorbs it. And then I get fucking drunk while we're talking.
Vouchers, it doesn't count unless he posts a video of it. So spam his Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If he doesn't put it on video, it didn't count.
So for top level Patreon subscribers, if you are willing to pay $100 a month, you will see a video of me putting a whiskey tampon in my asshole. So I don't know if
It'll
that's
just be me as the one
unreasonable.
Patreon subscriber. Just and your
It's a
girlfriend
joint Patreon.
and your girlfriend
Yeah,
will both
exactly.
be the fucking subscribers. Oh man.
There we go. Made $200, baby.
Bam bam, but your butthole, baby.
That's not bad. I could put up with that. Anyways.
That means you can't wear white to your wedding day.
Okay, I feel like we're gonna wrap this up. So
Yeah, I feel like we're ready to sign off.
I do like the idea of doing Ricky Stenicki.
Yeah, we're doing Ricky Snicky, but I said we do a fast review. We don't need to go in his depth. I think we do it. We set a timer, 45 minutes, bing, bang, boom. We do it slightly intoxicated. It just be a fun just review. Nothing, we don't need to go in depth like we did this one. This one was nearly an hour and a half long. I think we do the Ricky Stinky one. Just fun, fast, loose, and we say all the curse words. If you're down for it.
There we go. All right.
Okie dokie.
Let's make it happen. Hell yeah, guys.
Alrighty, Vouchers. Thank you for fucking listening. We appreciate you. We love you. This was Rush. You heard our reviews. I'm signing off. Eric, say goodbye.
Peace. See you guys soon. Love you.
Abraham Lincoln.
It's been a good one. See y'all.
Alrighty, get the fuck out of here. We love you guys. Good night.
Bye. Good night.